Each and every year, there's a list that's put together that recognizes the top ethical companies in the world. One company has been on it for the last 9 years since its inception, and we thought, hey, they need to be recognized. You know the company, Aflac. And Audrey joins us from Aflac and Tim from Ethos. And what impresses you most, Tim, about Aflac?
Well, Aflac has, first of all, they're one of the handful of companies that have been on Ethsphere's World's Most Ethical Company list every year since inception. Well, what's fascinating, and I've had the pleasure to interface with their CEO, Dan Amos, many times, is the relentless focus on transparency. If there's bad news that gets out there, if there's news that's not particularly true, they set it straight, and they just have a relentless tone around transparency. And that's something that helps, I think, all of us. So we're excited to work with them.
Well, that's certainly good to hear, but does that ethical culture actually lead to profits on the bottom line?
Well, it's interesting. So we released a list March 9th, and this year there's 132 companies on the list from 20 countries. One way of looking at it is those companies that are publicly traded on some exchange around the world, since when we first did the list, they've outperformed the financial benchmarks every year. So in terms of a measure of success, that's a pretty good one.
Well, it certainly is, Tim. And Audrey, thanks for joining us. What does it mean to your organization, of course, Aflac, what does it mean to you all to be on this list now 9 years in a row?
It's a tremendous honor. I mean, the fact that we have been on the list for the last 9 years, well, since the inception of the list, it's something that we take very seriously. We don't take it for granted, and we recognize the very important accolade that it is.
Well, Tim, earlier you mentioned the list was quite long. Of the companies that are at the bottom of the list, what can they start doing to get up? What would you recommend to them?
Culture is, Peter Drucker said, culture eats strategy for lunch. So anything a company can do to create a culture where somebody can raise their hand around the globe and say, I don't think so, I think we need to look at this. And they're rewarded and they're celebrated for that. I think that's really the secret sauce. It's really about culture.
I would agree with
Tim,
that.
we thank you for doing the list. And Audrey, any last words?
No, again, I just think that it's so easy to focus from the media's perspective on the bad actors there in corporate America, but there are companies who are doing great things and doing it the right way, and I'm very pleased that Etisphere would determine to highlight those companies.
We're certainly glad you've been highlighted and yet again on our show. So Audrey, congratulations to Aflac and yourself. And Tim, keep doing that list because it's important that we get more companies doing ethical things. Great to have both of you with us.
Thank you.
Thanks. Have a great day.